the Digvijay Pandit came to Navadvip. Keshav Kashmiri had already conquered every scholar in India who had any credibility. He was the world champion, undefeated. As we have said several times, in those days, debate was the sport of India. Compared to a debate between Digvijay Pandit and someone else, nobody cared about the World Cup of cricket or any of that. This was really fascinating. Digvijay Pandit, he had mastered Sanskrit philosophy, logic to such an extent he had done lifetimes of puja to the goddess Saraswati. Every time he opened his mouth, goddess Saraswati moved his tongue. Who can defeat that? The goddess of learning, the goddess of wisdom. She was his favorite child. And he was so proud. There were elephants and palanquins and Brahmins chanting his glories everywhere he went. He would come into a town with an incredible procession of conch shells and horns and bands and learned scholars chanting mantras, and they were proclaiming, Digvijay Pandit has come to challenge anyone. And most scholars would just run away. He happened to see Nimai on the bank of the Ganga. It's a long story. And Nimai was so respectful to him. He said, oh, you are such a great scholar. And Digvijay Pandit, yes, of course. We have heard so many things about you. Yes, yes. How Mother Saraswati just manifests whenever you talk. Of course, of course. We are sitting on the bank of Mother Ganga. Could you compose a poem glorifying Mother Ganges? And Digvijay Pandit didn't even have to think about it. And he wasn't quoting something that had already been published. Instantly, he composed brand new original poetry, over 100 verses. It was so eloquent, full of alankar ornaments and meaning and feeling. It was brilliant. Nimai's students, their mouths were open, their eyes were wide, like, how could anybody do this? It was impossible, it was inhuman. It was superhuman. Beyond. Even the demigods can't do that. And after hearing it, everyone was awed. And Nimai said, that was very nice. Now please explain the positive qualities of it, and also explains the many mistakes that you made. Digvijay Pandit was very offended by that. He said, I never make a mistake. And Nimai said, well, what about this one? Or what about that one? And he pointed out certain contradictory statements that he made, which were so subtle that nobody on earth could possibly conceive of that. Now here's the Digvijay Pandit. A teenage boy has challenged him. And he was speechless. His tongue would not move. His brain went totally blank. He couldn't think, he couldn't speak, he couldn't move. He just stood there. And the children started laughing at him. And Digvijay Pandit was totally mortified. And Nimai said, don't laugh, don't laugh. And he said to the Digvijay Pandit, actually, because you must be so tired, you just compose such incredible poetry like nobody else could compose. So, that must have taken your energy. So please, sir, come back tomorrow and we could discuss the mistakes. In this way, the Lord completely preserved his reputation. Didn't disturb his pride. He treated him like such a gentleman. He honored him. And Digvijay Pandit went home. And he was, Goddess Saraswati, why? I have conquered over the greatest pundits in the planet, and you have allowed a grammar student, a grammar teacher to defeat me? Why couldn't I think? Why couldn't I speak? Did I commit some aparad? What have I done? And he was crying and he went to sleep, and Goddess Saraswati appeared to him in his dream. And she said, because you are dear to me, the benediction I've given you is not the power of learning to conquer others. The real benediction I've given you is, I have brought you before the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, the Lord of my heart. I have given you the darshan of Krishna, who has appeared as Lord Chaitanya. Whatever I know, I only get from Krishna, from Lord Chaitanya. Now go to him and surrender your heart and surrender your life. Then I will be pleased with you. The next morning, Digvijay Pandit came to Lord Chaitanya's house. That's not what he would do. He would come to a place and everyone had to come to him. He came to Lord Chaitanya's house all alone. There wasn't any marching bands, there wasn't any chanting Brahmins, there wasn't any palanquin carriers or elephants. He came all alone, in simple dress. And he offered his dandavat pranams to Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Do you know how I could understand you are the Supreme Lord? Because my arrogance and pride is like a massive mountain. If anyone would have crushed it, I would have died. But you totally defeated me while giving me such respect and honor that you did not disturb me. Therefore, I surrender to you." And Lord Chaitanya very lovingly told him the purpose of all knowledge is to awaken love for Krishna in the heart. And Digvijay Pandit left without saying anything to anyone and became a sadhu and a pure devotee. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had already defeated every scholar in Navadvip, and he had defeated the Digvijay Pandit. He's all-knowing. Vedaishcha Saravera Hameva Vedyo. He's the author of all the Vedas. The knower of Vedanta. And yet, he was willing to accept intellectual defeat from Ishvarapuri. Why? Because he is conquered by the love of his devotee.
You were listening to Radhanath Swami on devotionalnectar.com.